Hey guys, what's going on? This is the conservative speaking. Forgive me. I was um I was live streaming earlier, but we had some technical difficulties, so unfortunately I had to delete that live stream, and we're gonna be in for this live stream right now. So we're actually 48 minutes late, so I'm just gonna go into it. I'm just gonna get into it right now. Before I do, something that I want to put in, I'm actually gonna put in the link so that you guys can be able to call in, so that you guys will be able to interact with the conservative. And I'm going to do that right now. Let's see. Let me see if I put that in. All right, perfect. So I just copied it. I just pasted the link that you guys can use so that you'll be able to interact with the conservative. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the topic of this stream. Oh, by the way, where are my manners? Happy Halloween to everyone that's out that's out and about celebrating uh celebrating a good holiday. Nice day to get out. Currently I'm in New Jersey, and it's a nice weather's in the 60s. I was able to witness a few children coming out, going out and trick or treating. My next door neighbors are actually trick or treating, and if I had some candy, I would have given it to them, but they seem to be about their business of doing their own trick or treating. So I didn't bother. I went into the house. But to all of those that are celebrating, all those that celebrate Halloween, I hope you're having a an amazing, safe Halloween. For those of you that are visiting uh, haunted or scary attractions, haunted houses, and so hope you guys are having a blast and having a great time with that. I thought I was going to visit um, a scary attraction this year, but I just didn't have. Honestly, I didn't have the mindset to do it, and I didn't have the energy to do it. Considering that I picked up a shift last night, so I figured I would just take this day and rest in. Um, but I believe there's some haunted attractions that are running all the way until the end of next week. So it's possible I may wind up going to one of those, but we'll see. All right. So with that being said, let's get into this. So this is um it's my first live broadcast. I'm happy to know that this will be the first broadcast that I'll be able to do where people can actually where people be able to come call in and interact with me. So I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to get into the topic at hand. What is the topic at hand right now? So the topic at hand is um uh oh my goodness, what is the topic at hand? Oh, sacrificial lambs. See? Look at me. So the topic at hand is sacrificial lambs. And the reason why I brought this up is I find it very, very, very interesting that people, that we the people, have to wind up paying uh, for for the sins of others. Um, in America, in a free country, an individualistic country, it seems as if Um, there's this expectation that we are responsible for other people's welfare, for other people's behaviors. And rather than confronting them and telling them that they need to become better people and they need to make better decisions so that they can best better their life, instead, we wind up enabling their behavior by giving them things, by giving them free stuff at the expense of the taxpayers. Case in point, uh, you guys may not be familiar with this story, but there's a thug called Walter Wallace Jr. Now, Walter Wallace Jr. was a thug out of West Philadelphia that had an extensive criminal record, that really stated all the way up back to 2006. um so in 2000, I'll tell you a couple of his crimes that he pleaded guilty to. So in 2013, he pleaded guilty to resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer. This man literally punched a police officer in the face. And I'm surprised that it happened in Philadelphia, because usually Philadelphia police officers won't allow you, or at least they won't allow you to get away with assaulting them like that without you getting assaulted. And rightfully so. And then in 2017, he pleaded guilty to robbery, assault, and a possession of a weapon when he intentionally kicked in the door and put a gun to a woman's head. Just one of the many. And then I believe sometime in of March of last year, he had charges pending of making terroristic threats, of shooting a woman and quote unquote shooting the house up. So overall, I mean, this was a no good person, but he was also raised by no good parents. And the no good parents were the reason why he became the person that he was in the first place. Well, October of last year, he was shot and killed by Philadelphia police officers, after the police officers warned him several times, up to 23 times, I believe. Yeah, they warned him 23 times. They actually gave a verbal command multiple times, telling him to put the knife down after he came out with the knife, the same knife that he was going to use to assault his mother. And this is the reason why his siblings wind up calling the police, and then the police wind up responding to that call. So on Friday, it was reported that this family, who really didn't raise this man right, and because of that, he wound up becoming a menace to society. Well, guess what? The family was rewarded $2.5 million by the city, and this will be at the expense of the taxpayers. So the city rewards this no good family that raised this no good child $2.5 million. Amazing. And when I heard of this, the only thing that came up to mind was, I see now that it seems to be the norm that people are getting rewarded for bad behavior. That seems to be the norm today. That you can be less effective in parenting, and your child can go in and and refuse to comply to the rules of society. Society handles it the best way that they can even if it means killing the person because they felt threatened when coming after them, and yet we're the ones that wind up footing the bill out of the whole thing. Now, this family is getting $2.5 million. I want you guys to ask yourself a question. Is this really going to help that family? The family that's receiving $2.5 million in the compromising circumstances surrounding that family, is it going to help or hurt that family? Now, well, if you want to know where I stand on that, I can tell you right now, it is going to hinder. This is going to hinder the family moving forward. This is not going to help the family. If anything, it's going to hurt them. All right. Now, keep in mind, this is a black family. This is a ghetto black family. And this is a ghetto black family in Philadelphia. You do the math. What do you think they're going to do with that 2.5 million? They're sure as heck are not going to invest it. And if they're hearing this broadcast, I will hope that they do. I'll hope that they will leave enough money for themselves and their children so that they will never ever have to work again. Use that money and become productive. But we all know how the blacks handle money. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to buy a mansion far exceeding the 2.5 million that they're supposed to get from the city. They're going to buy a bunch of foreign cars, a whole bunch of watches. All right. I would say about 30 dirt bikes and 30 ATV or four wheelers, because if there's anything that we know about the blacks love driving their illegal dirt bikes and their illegal ATVs on the street, even though those vehicles are meant for the dirt and for rugged areas. That's why they call them dirt bikes, because they're meant to be driven in the dirt, not on the street. So get prepared to hear a whole lot of wee, 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 because if there's one thing that the blacks love is their illegal, loud vehicles that sound like a lawnmower being cut on 24/7. This will definitely not help the blacks, and this definitely won't help this family, considering that they brought this young man into the world the wrong way. All right. So the family member, his father, Walter Wallace Jr. Go figure. How is it that he's named Walter Wallace Jr.? How is it that the father's named Walter Wallace Jr. and then the son is named Walter Wallace Jr.? Whatever, but so Walter Wallace Jr. and let me see real quick. And I believe that there was another person. I think her name is Karen Brandt, but Walter Wallace's mother clearly does not take his father's last name. And why is that? Well, simple. Because they're not married and they wind up having this young man out of wedlock. And it's a trickling effect. Walter Wallace Jr. also had children from a previous relationship, and the mother also had a child from the previous relationship. So you have a whole bunch of strangers coming around. That usually builds for chaos. But going back to what I said initially, all this is going to do now is putting other mothers on notice now. And the single mothers, they're looking at these situations and they're saying to themselves, you know what? I never really wanted to be a mother in the first place. That's the reason why these mothers wind up becoming single mothers. And they usually do it for two reasons. One, because they're sluts. And number two, they didn't qualify for the person that they chose to have a baby with to be around in their lives. Hence, this is the reason why they wind up becoming single mothers. I just find it interesting. But these women are looking, and they're saying, "Wow, this is the new wave of reparations. Dan being on welfare, I'll just use one of my children as sacrificial lamb, and I can get paid." All right. If you don't believe me, let's just look at the past settlements that have occurred from no good people being raised by no good parents. For instance, Michael Brown, back in 2014, Michael Brown was the 18-year-old thug that tried to grab the police officer's gun, and the police officer blew his brains out, rightfully so. Despite the fact that the police officer acted in good faith, and that the police officer acted in self-defense, the city of Ferguson had to reward the family $1.5 million. Because even though they couldn't prove that the police officer acted criminally, civilly is a whole different story. All they have to do is literally blow on you. Like, all they have to do is tap on you, and you can claim all types of stuff, and you can wind up bankrupting the city. It's almost like an instant payout. So Michael Brown's family received $1.5 million. Eric Gardner received $5.9 million. All right. Another no good thug who practically got what was coming to him. Breonna Taylor received $12 million from the city of Louisville. Breonna Taylor. And why? Why? Okay. I mean, she put herself in that position. Is it unfortunate that she was shot 6 times? Yeah. But do you want to know what else is unfortunate? Her immoral decision to deal with a man that was indulged in a life of crime. It was even reported that Breonna Taylor helped her boyfriend in dumping a body inside a car that was rented to her. So Breonna Taylor was all in on this. All right. She had what was coming to her. When you put yourself in harm's way, there's only but so many times that you can do that before you eventually pay the ultimate price for it. And it just so happened that day, Breonna Taylor paid the ultimate price for it. All right. And then we come to George Floyd. And George Floyd's family received the biggest payout of any family that received the payout due to the death. Due to their loved one's death, being as a result of a police officer's actions. $33 million. I mean, when you're getting this type of money, is that enabling the issue or is it fixing the issue? I would say it's enabling it. When you know that all you have to do is just have children out of wedlock and not raise them properly, pretty much discard them and let them fend for themselves, and then they get killed by police, immediately these families are starting to realize that this is the way to go. This is the perfect way to make a living. Why should I care about my children? No. Absolutely not. Instead, what we should do is practically not take care of them and let them go out and fend for themselves, and hopefully they will get entangled by police and get shot and killed. And then as soon as that happens, I will be the first person to reach out to Ben Crump and say, listen, all right, I feel bad that my son or my daughter died, but you know what? I feel wronged. Just let me know. You're an attorney. You're used to dealing with civil rights cases like this. What are we looking at dollar sign wise? I mean, are we is this worth your time? And Ben Crump will go in. He'll see how the news is trending. All right, on TV stations, and then he'll see how it's trending on YouTube, and he'll see how it's trending on any other social media platform. And then he'll come back and say, you know what? This thing is viral. This thing is making a lot of headlines. Let's go for it. And that's what usually happens. All right. This is the new meal ticket. Forget getting on welfare. All right. The best way for no good ghetto parents to make it in America, use your children as sacrificial lamb. All right. Don't teach them the ways of the world. As a matter of fact, tell them that the police officers are your enemies. Whenever you get pulled over, do not cooperate. They are your enemies. Fight back if you can. So that when the police officers shoot and kill you because you're trying to fight them, then the parents can exploit the son or the daughter's name and make millions of dollars at the expense of the children. Isn't that amazing? But this is the new wave of parents getting paid. Forget having babies out of wedlock and claiming a $3,000 tax credit per child. Oh, I mean, that's okay money, but I can make millions. And all I have to do is not care enough for my children to do so. Put them in the worst situation where they have no choice but to feel as if society is letting them down, even though it was the parents that let them down. Because it was the parents that had children out of wedlock. It was the parents that forced the father to leave the household. All right. Mainly, it was the mother. It's the mother that did all of this. It's amazing, folks. It is amazing. And I say this to say one thing. That now children are the new meal ticket for mothers who never cared for their children in the first place. This is the easiest way. This is the easiest way to make millions. The mother can say, "Oh, I finally made it. I finally made it. All I have to do is not give a damn about my children." And eventually it will pay off. And what happened? It paid off. $2.5 million. All right. Most people will never see that in their lifetime. And you have a ghetto mother who didn't care too much, who didn't care anything about her son, is now going to receive $2.5 million at the hands of the taxpayers. Amazing. That is amazing. I find it mind-boggling that children can be used for this type of act. Because let's be honest, I mean, the mothers really do not care about the children. If the mothers cared about the children, then the mothers would be submissive and be cooperative to the man that they decided to lay down and have children with, and then they would build a family. But the mothers can care less. I mean, the mothers look at children as meal tickets. But now this is the biggest meal ticket. All right, send your no good sons into society where they have to reform, and they can wind up paying the ultimate sacrifice while you get to exploit their name at their expense. Sacrificial lamb. I mean, think about it. George Floyd was an unemployed dopehead with a criminal record. A man who had an extensive criminal record, and a man that was committing a crime, which is the reason why the police responded to him in the first place. And he winds up dying because not necessarily because of the police interaction. He died because he ingested 3 times the amount of fentanyl that he should have. If anything else, Derek Chauvin shouldn't have went to prison. Should have been George Floyd's drug dealer, who supposedly was in the car with George Floyd when they were pulled over by police. But despite the fact that George Floyd was a loser, he dies. It becomes, it receives national attention, and now the family gets $33 million because of that. $33 million. Woo! It's a lot of cheddar for practically raising no good children. So that's the question that's at hand. Should we pay for the ultimate expense of no good children raising no good mothers raising their no good children? As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. So the question is, should no good parents use their no good children as meal tickets at their expense? Should they do that? Is that the new norm now for people wanting to get paid without necessarily having to put in the work to do so? I mean, my goodness, 33 million. Could you imagine how much? Can you imagine how many things you can acquire with $33 million? Amazing. But folks, you see, black people are complaining, whimpering and whining that they're not receiving reparations. I would have to disagree with them. I think they receive more than enough reparations. More than enough. You know, the thing is that when you're getting something like that for free, sheesh, who needs work? Really? I'm serious. Who needs work? So far, I'm sorry, I had to pause for a little bit because I had to calculate this up. But so far from the payments that each city paid out to all of these so-called so-called victims like Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Michael Brown, and Walter Wallace, total amount of reparations that the family received just with these so-called victims alone was about $44 million. $44 million was paid out to these deplorable, despicable families that raise deplorable, despicable children. $44 million. and the blacks are out there complaining that they're not getting reparations. I would say that you are. All right. You people are raising no good children to attack the police and having the judge or having the city reward these deplorable, despicable people with our money. I say they are doing well better off. Because let's be honest, most black women do not care about their black children. These black mothers, they want to live their life and have hot girl summers. You see, the truth be told, these black mothers never wanted to be children, never wanted to be mothers in the first place. All right. But the reason why they were mothers was because they were sluts. All right. If they weren't sluts, why didn't they marry the father of their children? Because they were a bunch of sluts. They never cared about having children in the first place. Look at how they behave. They behave just like children. You have young mothers that are out there twerking on top of cars, twerking on top of bar tables, acting like a bunch of whores. I mean, the fact that they had a child out of wedlock was just an afterthought. Truth be told, they just liked the unprotected sex. That's what the woman wanted. The woman wanted the raw penis. Forget that she was impregnated by it. No, she just wanted the penis. That's it. This is the reason why 77% of black babies are born out of wedlock. And why a lot of them wind up becoming either crime perpetrators or victims of crime. They're 9 times more likely to be crime perpetrators or victims of crime, and 50% more likely to drop out of school. All right. Because what is the similarity with all of these single mothers? They're all being raised, or these children that are coming from single mother households. They're all being raised by their mothers. And they wind up becoming or taking on that identity of their mothers. They seen how the mother deals with other relationships, and then they wind up doing the same thing. This is the reason why the men are weak. This is the reason why the women are feminists. It's because of this movement. But nowadays, the mothers are having children under the guidelines that these children will act out of the norm with society, and then they're hoping that an adverse event will happen to where the city could be at fault, and where they can take the city to the cleaners. I mean, this is a whole new way of getting paid. Okay, let me immorally have children. Let me morally corrupt them so that they can walk around as morally corrupt citizens in a society that expects you to follow the norms. Let me act out of line and then have an adverse event happen so that the city can be held liable. And so people like Ben Crump can prove that the city was liable, and then you get a major payout from the city. All right? Think about why a person like Ben Crump will want to take on these high profile cases. What percentage is he charging to the families? I rest my case. So the phone lines are open. Well, actually, I put the link out there. So, and you guys want to call in, and I just want to know, what do you guys think? Do you think what I'm saying is dead on, or do you think what I'm saying is out of line? Let me repeat it for you again. Should no good parents use their no good children as meal tickets at their expense? Do you think this is exactly what is going on? I mean, Walter Wallace Jr., the family received $2.5 million, all because they failed to raise their son in a proper manner. They failed their son. Therefore, their son dies, and the family gets paid for it. I mean, the family is making money, $2.5 million, all because their son is a deplorable, despicable person that was raised by deplorable, despicable parents. I mean, the parents are no good. Walter Wallace Sr., Karen, or whatever her name is, they are no good people. No good people that are getting paid like the Joneses. And guess what? These deplorable, despicable people will be moving to a gated community near you. So I highly recommend that you lock your doors. I highly recommend that you guys get earplugs. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend that you guys have the police on speed dial, because you will be calling the cops every single day for some type of disturbance. All right. Keep in mind, all right, the blacks in Philadelphia, they love dirt bikes. $2.5 million can buy them a lot of land right next to what once was a quiet neighborhood. All right. Now, who's to say that they can't build a dirt bike trail and run their loud, ridiculous dirt bikes all throughout the property, keeping you up in the wee hours of the night. See, this is what happens when we do not confront bad behavior. When we reward bad behavior, these are the things that happen. And guess what? The single mothers are looking out right now. They're counting up their children. They're counting up how many children they have, and they're looking at these children as insurance policies. Oh, and the mothers will make sure that they get a return on their investments. So at this point, they're going to belittle the children, get the children angry enough so that when the police get called, the police officers will hopefully wind up killing them because their child decided to go after the police. And once they do that, then the child will wind up becoming the sacrificial lamb for the mothers. When you really, really think about it, I mean, obviously it sounds bad. It really does. It really does sound bad. It sounds almost impossible. Like, how could you say something like that? But take a look at what's going on. Look at the trends. All right? Look at the trends. As soon as something like this happens, immediately, especially with black people, immediately black people want to play victim. Oh, they're doing it because of racism. Oh, they shot my baby. Oh, they shot my baby. First of all, Walter Wallace Jr. is 27 years old. He is not a baby. Far from it. Far from it. So the idea now is, what are people going to do about this? What are they going to do? They see now that their children are becoming instant lottery ticket winners. See, but the problem is, these families get paid at the expense of their sons and daughters who they didn't really give you know what about in the first place. Sounds like a perfect outing. Well, you know what? I didn't want to be a mother anyway. All right. I wanted to live a glam, bougie lifestyle, and now I can do it while being my ghetto self and telling people that they can F off and this and that. The single mothers are looking. All right. Do you think this is going to deter women from having children out of wedlock? Absolutely not. If anything, this is going to encourage them, especially the single mothers who never wanted to be mothers in the first place. Oh, wow, this is an outing. All I have to do is get him angry enough to where something like this can happen, and then I can get paid. I can cash in. I can live the life that I always wanted to live. And the life that I missed out on because I was hindered by being a mother to my son or to my daughter. As if someone put a gun to your head and forced themselves on you. Nobody told you to have a child out of wedlock. If you wanted to live your life, don't get pregnant. It's that simple. Don't have children. And then you can live your life. You can live all the hot girl summers you want. All right? I'm letting you know right now. But does this sound crazy? I don't think this sounds crazy when you think about it. All right? A lot of these mothers are having children when they don't necessarily want to have children. They call them unexpected pregnancies. No, you were being a slut. You wanted sex. You didn't want a child. You wanted sex. You were being a slut. All right. These were mothers that wanted to get rid of their children in the first place. And now they have a way to do it. And they can do it while getting paid to do it. Is this going to be the new wave? I think people need to start paying attention. This could potentially be the new wave for single mothers. It's a new out. Forget trying to find a quote unquote rich husband. All I have to do is sacrifice one of my children to the streets, and then I can get paid like crazy. I think they're starting to figure it out that this is the easiest way for them to get rich. Make their sons the pawns of law enforcement. Because law enforcement belongs to the city. All right? If law enforcement does anything to your child in which it can be argued that their civil rights are violated, first thing they say is get yourself a good civil rights attorney, a la Ben Crump, the new race hustler, the new race pimp. You know what I mean? I guess Al Sharpton passed the keys over to Ben Crump. Ben Crump is the new Al Sharpton. Oh, don't worry, because Ben Crump will make sure that millions of dollars are put in your bank account. $2.5 million. Now Ben Crump was not the person that I don't believe he was the guy that took over this case. But I mean it's a high enough profile case in where I wouldn't be surprised if he did take the case. So I put the link out. Guys can join in at any time. Let me know what you guys think. Should no good parents use their no good children as meal tickets at their expense? Because it's happening. And this is the newest form of reparations for the blacks. All right. If you want reparations, send your no good child into the world. All right. Don't teach them rules. Don't teach them manners. Teach them that the world is your enemy. And before you know it, society will handle your child accordingly, and then you can go in and then you can start reaping the benefits of suing the city and making a killing out of it. I mean, if this is a new phenomenon, and I believe that this is a phenomenon that's going to sweep the country. If this phenomenon sweeps the country, what does that say about black people moving forward? You won't be able to tell them anything. You know, work hard, go to school. For what? No, all I have to do is just have a bunch of bad children and have one of them leave the nest. All right. And go after the police. So the police can kill them and then I can get paid for it. Because what is really the purpose of giving them money? All the money in the world is not going to bring their son back. So why even ask for monetary compensation? And then the families wind up taking the money, because in the end, that's what it's all about. It's all about the money. It was never about Walter Wallace Jr. It's about the money. The parents can care less about Walter Wallace. Can care less. All right, they can care less. All right. I heard in a report that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar. What do you mean? Schizophrenia and bipolar. No, this man had pent up anger, and it came from somewhere. And rather than the mother trying to fix the real problem as of where, well, actually, it wasn't the mother, the father. Yeah, yes, actually, I definitely blame the father for this one. You know, the father, rather than keeping the family together, you know, he winds up going on a tantrum, and rather than fixing the problem by keeping the family intact. Because I'll tell you the real reason why these children are acting up. These children are acting up because the parents are not together. There's no true family structure, and when there's no true family structure, that without the proper amount of counseling, they can go off on a. I mean, they can these children are incorrigible. You can't discipline them. But we're not going to deal with that. No, we're not going to deal with that. Instead, we'll just say that he has mental issues. He has schizophrenia and he has bipolar. No, Walter Wallace wants his family. He doesn't want a fake family. He doesn't want a fake mother. He wants his family. But I bet you no one is ever going to uh, visit that root of the man's anger, because when you actually read into Walter Wallace's temperament, the fact that he one of his friends stated that he tends to react instead of thinking. That's the temperament of a woman, and that's the reason why it takes a strong man to want to it takes a strong man to be with a woman, that because the man will be able to guide the woman the right way. A woman cannot do it on her own. The woman is emotionally unstable. A woman will react. They don't think. That's the reason why men rule the world, because men are logical. All right? Men don't think based on their emotions. Men are logical creatures. They'll think before they do something. A woman, it's, oh no, it's all about how I feel. Forget if it's the right thing. It's how I feel. And since Walter Wallace had the temperament of, and since Walter Wallace had that type of temperament, that means that he had the identity of his mother. And men that usually identify with their mothers, they do it because they never overcame their mothers. It's amazing stuff. But the lines are open. Let me know, should no good parents use their no good children as meal tickets at their expense? Or as a matter of fact, do you expect that no good parents use their no good children as meal tickets at their expense? Do you suspect that that's happening? So let me know. I put the link in the chat line. So let me know what you guys think. All right. Give me a call. Let me know so you can interact with the conservative. All right, guys. This is amazing. All right, guys. So that was my rant. Let me see. See what we can do. Chat. All right. Looks like. All right, guys. Click on the link. So I'll be able to respond. All right, guys. Give it about a few more minutes. See if some people want to jump on. All right, guys, welcome back. So I'm gonna leave. So I'm gonna come in and end the show, but I just wanted to say this. I just wanted to make a statement. Just want to let you guys know that we have a true pandemic going on in the community, especially in the Black community, where people are not being held accountable for their actions, and we're seeing severe consequences as a result of that. I mean, babies born out of wedlock, the black on black murder going through the roof. I mean, 7,000 black people were killed at the hands of other blacks. There were more black people killed in 2020 than they were blacks killed in the entire existence of the Ku Klux Klan. All right. You have more than 1,800 black babies being aborted every single day at the hands of Planned Parenthood. I mean, there's a true attack on the essence of the black community. We're not reproducing enough, and we're too busy. Well, the blacks are too busy killing their own people. So, with that being said, I hope that this will turn around. But things like this, where black children are not being raised right, and then what they wind up becoming the victims of their own ignorance, and they tend to be victims by paying with the ultimate price, which is their life, and that it's the family that wind up being the beneficiaries um of of their deaths. You know, they wind up becoming the beneficiaries of them dying due to not being properly raised. I believe that this is something that's going to pick up, especially if we're continuing to go down the road of rewarding bad behavior as opposed to correcting it. directing people to God and allowing God to lead the way, as opposed to themselves thinking that they can lead the way. If there is no turn, if there's no turnaround of this, it's only going to get worse. If we continue to reward single women that are having children out of wedlock with $3,000 tax credits, and if we're rewarding black children that wind up getting killed at the hands of police because they refuse to comply with the officer, and then they wind up making a threatening move in which the police officers respond with a threatening move of their own by using lethal force, and then the families having to be rewarded millions of dollars because they couldn't do their job. This is not going to look good. It's only going to get worse. All right? Do what you want, but there's no progress unless there's a process. And the process that needs to be in place is accountability. You don't see it in the black community at all. Prior to the civil rights movement, 25% of black babies were born out of wedlock. All right? It was a taboo thing. You didn't even hear about black people or black women having children out of wedlock. They wouldn't be able to come back to their community. It was unheard of. Now, 1 out of 4 black children, or now it's a common norm. I mean, I don't want to put those statistics unless I know it's true, but I mean, now it's a common norm. It's not unusual to see 5 or 6 black women walking with children in a setting, and the father's not there. It's not uncommon. Oh, well, we just threw a baby shower for Chantel. She had her 4th child out of wedlock, but she's going to be a mother. Okay. Yes, and she's going to be a mother who's going to morally corrupt her child to think that she doesn't need a man in her life. And that woman will wind up being alone. I don't care how successful that woman is. All right? These women more than likely will wind up being by themselves. And if you don't have a family with a mother, with the mother and the father and the children in one household, then how can you build a community? There's no community without family. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. And so with that being said, this is the Conservative signing out. Have a blessed night and have a safe and amazing Halloween. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.